Hi, my name is David Boehm with Aspire Consulting, and today I'd like to talk about hiring practices. These are tactics that you can use during your onboarding process to significantly reduce risk to incidents and workers' compensation claims. So when we talk about staffing, when we talk about management and staffing, this is probably the most important function of management. If we have a staff that is doing what we need them to do, not only from a productivity and skills standpoint, but from a quality slash safety standpoint, they're carrying the torch of everything we need them to do, especially with regards to safety. Our jobs as managers becomes significantly easier. We do less time managing our staff and our workers and more time driving our business forward. So let's talk about how to get quality individuals into our organization. It starts with your application. Okay, let's make the application work for you. What we're trying to do with these tactics is tighten the filter. So don't go out and just ask them to fill out a generic application. Get a specific application. Work on this document to make it start weeding out unwanted individuals for you prior to even seeing them in an interview. Okay. Let's add things to this application, such as we have background checks, we have pre-employment drug screens, we have a strong safety culture. Here's what we require. We require an entire work history. Make this document already start to weed out unwanted individuals. It'll save you time. Okay. The biggest component I'd like to talk about today is with regards to references, resumes versus work history. If I am an applicant coming into your organization, what good are my references and my resume doing you? Absolutely nothing. Okay, they're my references. They're going to put me up on a pedestal. They're going to make me look good. Okay, the better practice is to require an entire work history on that application. It gives you, and there's a lot of good reasons why. One, it gives you the better references to check. Make at least 2 or 3 phone calls to previous employers. Trust me, you're going to get professional courtesy on these. Okay, read between the lines. If you get the standard candid answer of, we are not hiring for the position at this time, and you ask the question, well, would you consider so-and-so for a rehire? We are not hiring for the position at this time. That is professional courtesy to you. They're saying stay away. That's a red flag. Okay, you may get more than you bargained for. You may get glowing reviews. You may get an employer that throws an individual under the bus. But if you make those phone calls, trust me, you're going to paint the picture. You're going to put those puzzle pieces together a little bit more, and you're going to start to get an idea of what you're getting with this applicant. Okay, look for stability and gaps. Would you rather have an applicant that has 10 years of experience in your trade with 1 or 2 employers, or the same experience with 6, 7, 8 employers? Okay. Either way, if they're moving on every 8 months to a year and a half, they're jumping ship either because they want to change the scenery or they're wearing out their welcome. Either way, that's more resources than you should be willing to accept to spend the time and train somebody up into your culture and your environment and have them jump ships so frequently. So look for stability. Also look for gaps. You can't ask the question, have you had a previous workers' compensation claim? Because that could lead to discriminatory action against you, but you can't ask them to explain a gap in their work history. Hey, I see you worked from 2016 to 2018. You were off from 2018 to the beginning of 2019. Can you explain that? Okay. I'm a firm believer in second chances, but you just want to know why. Get some ideas here. Okay. And also an entire work history, and this is the reactive side of our business, and I want to go too deep into this, but also provides us, your third-party administrator, somebody who manages your workers' compensation claims. It may provide us valuable information if we get to a point in a claim where we are trying to determine whether or not to offer permanent light duty or have them go through a retraining program or find them employable due to the skills they've had in the past. Okay, so it is a valuable tool to have that on file for us, your managers. Okay. After you get this work history and you determine this is an individual that's worth seeking out, worth exploring further, bring them in for an interview. Okay, you want to put them in a chair in front of you and see how they react to simple questions, not only to, the skill sets that you're looking for, but to the culture that they've been at the past. Is this going to be a good fit? Ask about gaps and stability that you found on their work history. Mention that pre-employment drug screen and that background check. Do they squirm in their chair a little bit? Look for those visual cues. Ask some questions. Does not need to be a long interview, but usually with a quick screen interview, you can determine whether or not you want to move forward with further interviews or further background checks and research on this individual. It's worth your time. When it comes to background checks, highly recommend these. Know what you're getting. How do you do this? You go through the Washington State Patrol WATCH program. That stands for Washington Access to Criminal History. Okay. It only costs maybe $11. I think right now it's only $11, and they will give you a criminal history on this individual. And you as an employer need to decide what you are willing to accept. Felonies, misdemeanors, gross misdemeanors. Again, I'm a firm believer in second chances, but what are you willing to accept as an employer when it comes to a criminal history? If somebody has crimes against other persons, I would seriously consider not hiring that individual. If they're going to have a hard time getting along with individuals on your job site, whether they work for you or another company, is that a risk you're willing to accept? So I highly encourage you to do these background checks. I have a link to this at the end of this presentation. It's very simple. It is not a big resource, a big dollar drain, and it does not take a lot of time. Let's talk about pre-employment physicals. I don't work with a lot of employers that use these, but if this is something that intrigues you, understand that there are some rules behind it. One, it has to be a conditional job offer. That means you are offering the applicant a job pending passing a physical. Okay. And there's a couple ways to go about this. One is you can work with us and we can develop a job analysis for the position. Okay. That outlines the physical demands of that position. And they can take that to a licensed healthcare professional and go through testing, and you can get a sign off that yes, he or she is qualified physically to do these demands. Or they can go and just get what's called a functional capacities evaluation. It's a very generic, test on what they can do physically. This can be position specific. So if you have one or two positions within your organization that are physically demanding, you can only do physicals for the physically demanding position. You don't have to do them for all positions, but you must do these for all applicants of that job title. Okay. So if you're a roofer and you decide to use pre-employment physicals, you have to do it for everybody, not just the guy that looks like he smokes 4 packs of cigarettes a day and weighs 300 pounds, but for the applicant that looks like he's the most physically fit guy in your applicant pool. Okay. If you have any questions on this, please reach out to me. I can walk you through this a little bit more, but know that this is a tool that is available to you to help determine whether or not you have individuals that are physically fit for the position you're offering. I-9 and E-Verify. Strongly recommend the use of E-Verify. This is an electronic confirmation from the government. It's a portal that you would enter information that is provided by the applicant on the I-9 form, and it is compared to records from the Department of Homeland Security and the Social Security Administration. It's run by the government. It'll give you very quick results on employment eligibility. It usually comes back in a few seconds, and it is free. Okay. So again, I highly recommend the use of E-Verify to determine whether or not your applicants are eligible for employment. It is quick, it is easy, and it is free. Lastly, I want to briefly talk about pre-employment drug screens. This is an integral part of your company's substance abuse program. Strongly recommend this, but it is not meant to catch someone. It is meant to deter someone from using substances. Okay. The difference between this and that pre-employment physical is that all new employees are tested, regardless of their position within your organization. Administrative staff, every position that you have, salaried employees, part-time employees, full-time employees, pre-employment drug screens, everybody that comes into the door and is offered a position gets tested. Okay. I have more about this in my substance abuse program webinar. I highly recommend that you go watch this as well. These two hand in hand, hiring practices and substance abuse programs, will significantly reduce risk to some of the most egregious claims that we see in construction. And by that, I mean, if you took our group as a whole and you took the top 30 bad claims, the majority of those would point back to either a poor hire that we could have avoided, or somebody that had abused substances or alcohol on the job site or were compromised on the job site. Okay. So these are leading indicators of your safety culture that really have a lot of impact at reducing and mitigating risk when it comes to workers' compensation claims. Okay, here are some of the links to the concepts we talked about. There's the WATCH program through the Washington State Patrol, E-Verify, and some other entities that we frequently use when it comes to HR and the drug-free business, all things HR. And there's Concentra, which we use for workplace-related incidents on the job site. Please reach out to me if you have any questions. I'd love to help you work on these concepts or anything else safety related to improve your culture. I'm here to help. Thank you for your time today, and look on this YouTube channel for more content. Thank you.